Recording in progress.
Welcome in the latest episode of the Betting Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Real_G Warner. Tonight, we're going through England, Spain, Italy, France, and Germany. Going to give a best bet from each of the leagues. Going to put it out end of show. Thank you for subscribing, Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It's called Betting the Pitch. We'll have a bunch of college basketball episodes getting you ready for the NCAA tournament coming out as soon as the bracket is released. Expecting a Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, probably Wednesday as well. Got to get everything out there and try to go through all the regions. Then expect every night of the college basketball NCAA tournament, have an episode afterwards at Big East Ben. Make sure you hit follow button on him on Twitter at the Real_G Warner MI. And if you're looking for me on YouTube at the Real_G Warner and on Instagram, same thing. Like I said, college basketball is a huge part of this upcoming, I guess, next month or so. Get ready for that. But we got plenty of money to be made still on the pitch side of things. And so let's get into it and start right away. We'll start in England. We have a 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So no early games on St. Patrick's Day, or at least where people are celebrating, including yours truly. We'll start with Sunderland and Brighton. So Sunderland, incredible start to the Premier League return for them. It's not gone as well since then, but they're a slight quarter goal underdog at home. All the juice is on Brighton right now. Total in this one is 2.25, and it is juiced even money to under, minus 116 over. So if you're looking for a new book, potentially to save some money on juice on the English Premier League specifically, check me out at the Real_G Warner. Hit me up, and I can get you a referral code to BetOnline or sportsbetting.ag. They'll give you a nice sign-up bonus if you haven't had one already, and 16-cent Premier League lines can't really be beaten. If you have something better than that, please hit me up at the Real_G Warner. With all that said, Sunderland have been a great home team to back, and earlier in the season would have been a no-brainer. It's a little bit different now. The total's a little smaller than I made it. I think we might see a 2.5, which is probably what I'm waiting for. Lean to the home underdog, as I always will. Move next to Burnley, hosting Bournemouth. Currently, Burnley a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice on Bournemouth away. And that, I think, reflects just how poor Burnley have been. Newly promoted side, not a lot expected them. And then we've seen them play pretty poorly or not be able to score all season. Total this one's 2.75, just a little bit more to the over, 11 cents on that side. I lean unders with Burnley every match they play, pretty much. I don't know what's going to necessarily change that. And it does feel like a pretty big total. Yes, there's been a lot of goals in Bournemouth matches so far this season. I don't know that I'm that afraid. Move next to Chelsea hosting Newcastle, both coming off of Champions League midweek. So we'll see how that ends up impacting lineups and things of that nature. Half a goal underdogs are Newcastle on the road, where they've had a lot of problems over the year or many years at this point. Currently, total is 3, just very heavily to over. Generally, I want to back Newcastle at home, fade them away, but they're an underdog. So there's not a lot for me to do here. I am very curious to see what the lineups look like because we do have a total that offering a push on 3. For the nightcap, one of the nightcaps, because we have 2 matches, one at 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 Eastern Time. After that big slate of early matches, we have Arsenal 1.25 goal favorites at home to Everton. They're coming off of their own Champions League midweek. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced more to the under. And that reflects, or should reflect, any match that Everton plays. They play really low scoring matches, and honestly, so do Manchester City. So that's a really great setup, I think, for a low scoring matchup. And under is definitely on my list. Certainly will be tuning into that one. It's a little bit lower than I made it, but I don't know that you can make this number much smaller or get many people to bet over, so I understand why it's there. Last but not least, on Saturday, we have West Ham United 3/4 goal underdogs at home to Manchester City. Total in this one is 3, and it's just a little bit more to the under, 2 cents more. West Ham, smaller than a goal underdog, says something after Manchester City played in Champions League midweek at Real Madrid, the Bernabeu in Madrid. We'll see how that ends up going. But I think at this point for me, I need a +1 at least on West Ham. I don't know we'll get that. Juice certainly is pointing that way, and we'll see if it comes. But until then, I don't think I want much to do with the under, and usually I like unders and underdogs. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Crystal Palace hosting Leeds. Palace are currently a pick'em with all the juice, minus 128 to the plus 112 on the Leeds side. It probably means there's quarter goals out there. If you're looking to back Leeds, I'm interested there for sure. More interest probably in the under 2.25 goals. This is at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central on Sunday. Crystal Palace sold all their talent over the last couple seasons. They've sold plenty of defenders, unfortunately, too. But I think really their biggest issue is a lack of goal scorers or creators. And I think Leeds, as a newly promoted side going on the road, will try to keep this low scoring. And I like the under 2.25 there. Might even get 2.5 before kickoff. Next, we'll go to Fulham, quarter goal underdogs on the road at Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest coming off of Europa League midweek. Total this one's 2.5. It's just a little bit more to under, very slightly. I'm not really a believer in Nottingham Forest, so definitely interested in the Fulham side here. Probably like to get a half of a goal. It doesn't look like we'll get there. Honestly, it looks like we might even fall towards Pick'em. At Pick'em, I'm probably skipping, but definitely interested in a Fulham bet. Don't love fading the City ground crowd because it's been really strong for years, but it's part of the game. We'll move next to Manchester United. They're hosting Aston Villa as very big favorites, as the market has completely turned against Aston Villa, and I guess at the same time jumped on the bandwagon or the train of Manchester United. Currently, the spread is 3/4 of the goal, with more juice on the home Manchester United team. Aston Villa playing on the road midweek in Europa League. Total this one's 2 3/4, and it's used very heavily to over. Probably more moves toward the 3 I was expecting. I'm tempted to get all in on Aston Villa here, play under and the road team against the spread. Would love to get a +1. We could get that, but I do want to see what this Aston Villa lineup looks like, because I am concerned with the marketplace completely turning against them in the last week or so, month, however long it's been. To the next matchup, and this is on Sunday still. Liverpool 1 3/4 goal favorites at home to Tottenham. Gigantic number, but I guess that's what we're expecting with no one believing in Tottenham. Total in this one is 3 1/4. It's used very heavily to over. Tottenham, I mean, did they actually get better by sacking Thomas Frank? I mean, things weren't going well, but is that really the answer? I don't know. I mean, they've been so bad for somehow winning the Champions League or getting a Champions League berth from winning the Europa League. That just literally put a lipstick on a pig, and lots of it. I'm not a believer. I don't know what to do this one, because Liverpool coming off Champions League is a big deal, as we're Tottenham too, though. What's Tottenham playing for? I guess it's Champions League. That's certainly what this number suggests. It's a giant number. A lot bigger than I made it. I just don't know that I want much to do with Tottenham at this point. To Monday, we have Brentford hosting Wolves. Currently, Brentford a 1-goal favorite at home, with actually not a ton of juice, just 2 more cents on the home team. Wolves playing a lot better, but they are going down. So can we really trust them? I don't know about that. And that makes all the underdogs from Sunday through Monday are road teams. So we'll see if there's any interest in some home teams and potentially getting us bigger numbers. I would expect that to be. So maybe don't wait and see what happens with this number. That would be the 16th. What am I doing here? Did I lose my dates? Yeah, I think I did. Okay. So now I need to make a nominee while I'm doing the dates over here. Got to do a nominee for my best bet from England. A lot of choices. And I think for my favorite, I'm going to go with that Crystal Palace Leeds under 2 1/4 goals as my biggest interest on this episode. And now I'll move, if I can get there sooner rather than later, we'll get over there to Spain's La Liga. If I could click the right effing date. Wow, this is so difficult. Why is this so difficult? Maybe because I've been not sleeping for what feels like months. Okay, so Crystal Palace Leeds, biggest interest on the under 2 1/4 on Sunday. All right, now let's move to Spain's La Liga. We'll start in the early matchup with Girona hosting Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently, Girona are a pick'em with more juice, 4 more cents on Athletic Club. Total in this one's 2 1/4, and it's used very heavily to over. Athletic Club Bilbao have been horrible all season. I feel like they're getting way too much respect in this number. So I am very interested in the Girona side as a home team. They've had a horrible season, horrible start to the season. They haven't dealt with as many injuries, but they did have a lot of player sales over the last 2 seasons. That's certainly impactful. But I just don't think Athletic Club deserve to be a pick 'em on the road. We'll see if the Iñaki and Nico Williams brothers are playing. Because if they are, that definitely changes things a little bit. But I don't think it's enough to keep me off the pick 'em. Next, we'll move to Getafe going on the road to Atletico Madrid. Currently, Getafe a full goal underdog after Atleti played in Champions League midweek. Total on this one is 2, juiced very heavily to over, which reflects certainly the Getafe. We don't try to score goals offense. We'll see if that ends up turning into anything. But going on the road to Atletico Madrid is a big deal for them. It's a tiny total of 2. So there's not really much for me to want to do there. Yes, I do play 2s. It looked like it's heading towards 2 1/4. but Atletico Madrid score goals at home. Getafe don't, and they prevent their opponents from doing it. Red card risks are big, especially bigger away from home as well. I think from this point, I'm going to go with, I guess, under is my biggest interest in that matchup. And we'll move now to Oviedo hosting Valencia. Currently, Oviedo, a quarter goal underdog at home. All the juice is with the home team. Total in this one is 2.25, and it is juiced very heavily to under, as it should be. I don't trust Valencia to score goals. I don't trust Real Oviedo to score goals. So I like under, and I do like the home underdog. I think Oviedo have been playing a lot better despite being newly promoted with not much faith. Last but not least, on Saturday, we have Elche. They are visiting Real Madrid, coming off of Manchester City midweek. Spread is 1.5 goal favorites. Are Real Madrid more juice on the home team? Expect that to climb until kickoff. Total is 3.25, and it's used pretty heavily, a little bit more to over than to under. I don't know if Elche were so good to start the year coming up as promoted, but I feel like they've run out of gas, sold some players. And that's never a good sign, unfortunately. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Mallorca hosting Espanyol. Currently, Mallorca, a quarter goal favorite at home. Even money, so all the juice is on Espanyol at the moment. Total in this one's 2.25. Juiced very heavily to the under. And that reflects Mallorca not scoring a lot of goals. They've changed managers. They've had fits. Not so many starts, but Espanyol a little bit weaker as well. Had a really good year last year. Were great to start this season. We'll see how much they can keep it up. They do have some American ownership that's helped them in the budget. Lean to the road underdog and the under. Definitely under in this matchup. Any Mallorca match, especially at home, they usually dictate the style, but I don't really trust really anything from Mallorca's offense, and it's their favorite, so that makes me automatically lean the other way. Next, go to Barcelona hosting Sevilla. Currently, Barca, a 1.75 goal favorite, with more juice on the road team. Total in this one is 3.5, and it's juiced more to the over. If I could trust Sevilla, I would be very interested. I think they did beat them in the first leg, or first fixture, first jornada, where Sevilla hosted. Whatever the reverse fixture, that's what I was looking for. Gigantic underdogs here. Barcelona has certainly been kind of leaking oil. Did play Champions League midweek. I think I'm waiting. It's a bigger number than I made it. But I'm waiting to see if we can get a +2 on Sevilla, especially because we're so close. Next, we go to Real Betis. They're off of Europa League, as is Celta de Vigo, and they match up with each other in a really tough. Let's see how tired these two teams are. Celta quarter goal underdog right now with more juice on Real Betis, maybe potentially climbing to a half a goal favorite. Total this one's 2.5, and it's just pretty heavily to under. I think that reflects some tired legs, and we'll see what that ends up turning into with lineups and such. But for now, I'm definitely interested in under. Would like Celta a little bit more if they were half a goal underdog. We don't have that yet. To the Sunday night cap with Osasuna, half a goal underdog on the road at Real Sociedad, a Basque derby. Total this one's 2.5, and it is used pretty heavily to under. Osasuna have been an absolute joke away from home for years. I don't really trust things that have changed. So I don't really know what to do with that one. Maybe under, but don't know. Have a strong feel because Real Sociedad have been scoring many more goals under Pellegrino Matarazzo. Moving to Monday, we have Rayo Vallecano, 3/4 goal favorites at home to Levante, newly promoted side. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced more to the under. So Levante are, they've been bad as a newly promoted, so that's not really surprising. But they've been really conceding a lot more goals, and you'd think they would have tried to be a little bit more pragmatic. I don't know that I have much faith in them really turning much around, but they do go to Rayo Vallecano, who are an awkward favorite always because they set up defensively and don't really do much. I think at this point, that's the real only way I lean is under 2.5. We'll see what happens with the numbers, of course, as we're a couple days away from kickoff. As for a best bet from Spanish La Liga, I do like plenty on this card. I think at this point, my biggest interest is probably that under 2.25, Mallorca hosting Espanyol. Now we'll move to Italy, and we'll get over there right about now. We'll start with Inter Milan hosting Atalanta in a big battle. Inter benefiting majorly from Atalanta playing in Champions League. Well, they've already been eliminated, and that makes them a goal favorite at home, which is gigantic, but also probably reflects how Inter have played so far this year, that they've been the strongest team in Italy going back 3 or 4 years now. Total this one's 2.75, just all the way to over. I would expect Atalanta to try to defend, but I'm a little bit worried about what their lineup looks like. We'll see what happens tomorrow, 9 a.m. kickoff here in the United States and Dallas specifically. Napoli then host Lecce. Currently Lecce 1.25 goal underdogs. which feels a little bit smaller than I made it. Total this one's 2.25, and it's juiced more to the over. Pretty much just every Lecce matchup I look under, and I kind of feel that way at this point about Napoli as well. I don't know really. Napoli had such great ideas and everything about the season, but certainly has not gone very well. And we'll see what lineups look like. And Antonio Conte, if he's going to be happy with a 1-goal victory, that would certainly make the Lecce bet a profitable one, but I think under even more interesting. To the last matchup on Saturday, we have Udinese, a 1-goal underdog at home to the beloved Juventus club that for some reason the Italian marketplace just absolutely loves and bets hand over fist every week. I don't agree with it, and I feel like I'm going to continue to be on this side. So Udinese as a full goal underdog, very interesting to me at this point. And the total, I have less interest in there. It's a little bit shorter than I made it, smaller than I made it. But I think the +1 on the home team looks very interesting to me of two teams in zebra colors. Moving to Sunday morning, 6:30 start. I do think we will have daylight savings, though, and that will switch, but we'll see. Verona currently quarter-goal underdogs at home with all the juice to Genoa. Total in this one is 2, and it's juiced a little bit more to over. I don't know anyone who sees goals in this matchup, so interested in under 2. Pisa then hosts Cagliari in a battle near the bottom for sure. Cagliari pick them, but +113. I was thinking they might be a quarter-goal underdog, and I think we'll see that at some point. Total in this one is 2. Not a lot of goals expected in that matchup either, and I'm with the marketplace there. I'll certainly be waiting to see if Cagliari move to an underdog, because I don't trust Pisa to score, and they're a favorite at home. Sassuolo then hosts Bologna. Currently Sassuolo a pick 'em right now. All the juice on the home side. Bologna coming off of Roma in Europa League because they, for some reason, just love putting countries together. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used very heavily to under. Sassuolo, market does not love Bologna at this point. I think that's pretty clear. Did get some money bought into them as they were about to kick off against Roma, and ended up moving from a quarter-goal underdog to pick 'em. But we'll see what lineups look like, and I certainly want or do expect them to be resting some players. Move next to Como, hosting those Roma Warriors, Centurions. I don't know what I should call them, but at least the Romans. Maybe that's the best way to put it, and then move on. Total this one, the spread in this one is Como quarter-goal favorites. All the juice on the home team might be climbing to a half of a goal. Total this one's 2.25, and it's juiced a little bit more to over. And I think it reflects Roma potentially rotating, but their defense has been great this season. Como control the ball, so I still like under there, even at 2.25. To Lazio, they are hosting AC Milan. This is a Sunday nightcap. Currently, Lazio half-goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juiced slightly more to over. Milan have not been conceding goals. They've not been scoring as many. I feel like a lot is not due to not having their best strikers or attacking lineup out there. Lazio is starting to kind of look like they've got a bunch more matches than they were prepared for this season. I don't know that that's something that continues forever. But I'm more interested in the under. Surprisingly, kind of trying to get away from Lazio plays at this point because they've not been that impressive. To the last matchup on this weekend's card, this Giornata, let's go to Cremonese. They're half-a-goal underdogs at home to Fiorentina, who are fighting their way out of the drop zone. Total this one's 2.5, and it's juiced more to the under, 4 cents more, so not a huge amount. But always lean home underdogs, especially with Fiorentina, how badly they started the season. And we'll see where that number ends up moving and where to go on Monday. Another under, surprise, but certainly like Verona and Genoa, and that is under 2 goals on Sunday morning, early matchup, lunchtime in Italia. Move next to French Liga. We'll get through the German Bundesliga, get a best bet coming end of show, and then we'll get on to San Diego State and New Mexico, and we'll see if I can actually sleep for a couple hours. I don't know. We'll see if that ends up happening. But we'll start with Lorient hosting Lens, and this is in French League. This is at 11 a.m. Central Time start here in Dallas, Texas. Currently, Lorient are 3 quarter-goal underdogs, as the marketplace has just completely jumped off of backing them after literally loving Lens for such a long time. But here we are, and I guess we move forward. A little bit more juice on the home team. Total in this one is 2.75, and it is juiced very heavily to under, which I think reflects. What does that reflect? I don't really know if that reflects a ton, because Lens have been, such a surprise, and road favorite makes sense based on how they started the season. I just don't know. I mean, can they keep this up the whole way? They aren't in Europe, so that certainly helps. And they are playing some weak teams here, of course. But I think for me, I don't know. There's a lot for me to do here. I do lean to the home underdogs a lot bigger than I made it, and that's probably where I'll start and dive into this deeper on a Dallas St. Patty's Day, I guess. Moving next to Angers hosting Nice. Currently, Angers, a quarter goal underdog at home with juice split both ways. No real tell where it's going to go from here. Total in this one is 2.25, juice very heavily to over. I don't believe in Nice at all. Yes, they've changed managers. Maybe that's stabilized a little bit who they are. But Angers have been great. Always want to back them at home as an underdog, and especially to their unders because they play great defense. Moving to the nightcap, we start with on Saturday, and that is Monaco, and they are hosting Stade Brestois. Currently, Monaco 3/4 goal underdogs with all the juice, likely climbing to 1. At 1, I think I start getting some interest in Stade Brest. In terms of total, 2.75, just all the way to over. I'm not really sure. Brest to me used to be a defense and get some home results team just to stay in the league. Then they made it to Champions League, changed their team a little bit, and have honestly scored a lot more goals. For that reason, I think I'm interested in the side more than the total, but I do want a +1. We'll see if we get that. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Strasbourg hosting FC Paris. Currently, Strasbourg, a 3/4 goal favorite at home with almost all the juice on Paris away. And this is not Paris Saint-Germain. It's the other club in Paris that finally got promoted. Currently, the total is 2.5. It's juiced more to the over. Numbers bigger than I made it. I think I want a +1 to get involved. I've been really betting against this Paris team for most of the season. And I feel like that's been going well / another team that spends a little bit of money, gets some fairly well-known names, and the market just falls in love with them. But I'm just not really much of a believer in all that. Move next to Le Havre. They're hosting Lyon in a battle of one team that did really well in Europa League and secured a berth and a bye, but now have to balance Europa League and French Ligue 1, though they've been doing it, I guess, all season. Le Havre are half-goal underdogs at home. They're fighting relegation big time, and they're very juiced at the moment. We'll see what the Lyon lineup looks like. Total this one's 2.25, and it's juiced more to the over. Le Havre are certainly the underside here if you're going to play that. Total's a lot smaller than I made it, and I think that probably suggests that Lyon's not playing their best. So for that, I'll put the side and under on my list, and we'll see what ends up coming up there. Football Club de Metz then hosts Toulouse. Currently, Metz a half-goal underdog right now with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juiced more to the over by about 2 cents, and not a lot more. Metz are newly promoted. That certainly look like they're going to be going down sometime soon. I think, their unders have been more profitable. They went from a free scoring team to start the season, and then defense looked really bad, and they kind of turned into more of a defensive team, I think. I don't know necessarily if that's a forever thing, but Toulouse have been really good at playing their competition, better against the best teams, worse against the worst teams, and I think that's the big question is what they're going to do in this matchup. Toulouse are certainly better, more talented, and all sort of things, so they deserve to be a favorite. It's a little bigger than I made it, so I guess I lean to the home underdog and to the under. Those things correlate. Total's a little smaller than I made it, though, so I want to make sure I get that out there. Last but not least, Stade Rennes. They host Lille, coming off of a home first leg with Aston Villa. Right now, Rennes quarter-goal favorites right now with more juice at home. Total in this one is 2.5, and it is juiced more to the over. I want to see what the lineup looks like. I would love to back Rennes at home. I believe it's a derby match as well in northwestern France. We'll see if all that happens, what the lineups look like, especially because I think there's a good chance that Lille don't have their best out there, which probably means that the number climbs quite a bit, half a goal, maybe even 3/4. But we'll see, because I'm not really sure what Lille cares more about at this point in the season. And I'll put Rennes on my list of potential, but I need to drop to pick them, and I don't think that'll happen. For the best bet from French Ligue 1, let's go with Stade Brestois, 3/4 goal underdog on the road at Monaco. Certainly, I'm waiting for that +1 to pop, but it's out there if you wanted to bet it now. It's available, so I'll just take that +1 and pay the extra juice for it. Last but not least, we get the German Bundesliga, and then we'll sign off and let you all listen to this all back on whatever social media platform you prefer. We'll start with Eintracht Frankfurt hosting FC Heidenheim, and this is a battle at the bottom. Well, for Heidenheim, for sure, because they're trying to stay in this league every single season. They are a 1-goal underdog on the road. Eintracht Frankfurt. Total on this one is 3, juiced more pretty heavily to the over, and that reflects a very bad Eintracht Frankfurt defense that should win this matchup, but I don't know why if we're necessarily believing that. The one is of interest to me, though, because Eintracht Frankfurt cannot stop surrendering goals. They fired a manager over it. Total's about what I made it. We'll see if it climbs. Probably not interested in under in that one. Moving next to Bayer Leverkusen hosting Bayern München, coming off of Champions League for both of them. Currently, Bayern are a 1-goal favorite away from home with all the juice. Total is 3.5, and it is juiced a little bit more to the over. I do like the +1 on Leverkusen. I don't really trust them, though, is the big question. And it looks like we'll get to 1.25. And I got to say, betting against Bayern as big favorites is a perfect start to the season. Has kind of gone a little bit differently in Champions League. Certainly, as if they probably feel like they have the Bundesliga or have had it all season. So they're definitely looking to win Champions League as well. I think for me at this point, I lean to the underdog, especially at home. We'll see what ends up happening with that matchup. Next, we'll move to Borussia Dortmund, coming off of no Champions League midweek, which is probably better for their Bundesliga efforts. They are 1.25 goal favorites at home to Augsburg, who did beat Bayern somehow earlier this season, though they seem to do that at home a lot. Total this one is 3, just very heavily to over. I don't know that I'm fighting against Borussia Dortmund at home when they have no Champions League this season. VfL Wolfsburg then visit TSG Hoffenheim, one of the bigger surprises of the Bundesliga this season. Currently, Wolfsburg 1.25 goal underdogs away from home and could be climbing to 1.5. Total's 3.25, and it's used pretty heavily to over at the moment. Certainly, Hoffenheim want to play a high-scoring game. That's not at all what Wolfsburg want. I like the idea of an under here. I just don't know that I actually want to get involved with it. Moving to 2 newly promoted sides, we have Hamburg and FC Köln, and this is the Topspiel, the biggest matchup, probably because these clubs are gigantic fan bases. FC Köln, 1/4 goal underdogs right now away from home, a little bit more juice on the home team. Total in this one 2.75, and it's just very heavily to under. Now, Hamburg, they don't really have as much goal scoring in them, but they are much better at defending. Köln want to play aggressive, go for it, and score a bunch. And they haven't really been able to do that much, and certainly are looking like they are running out of gas a little bit. I think from where I sit with both these clubs, I don't really see a lot of goals in this one. So I guess I'm interested in FC Köln. Away from home, though, it's exactly what I made it. I almost want a little bit more than that because you're fighting a Hamburg crowd for 90, 100 minutes or so. But I guess if I lean anywhere, it is the FC Köln 1/4 goal underdog on the road at a weaker team, or just a weak team that also came up with them. To Sunday, Werder Bremen, they are hosting FC Mainz, Mainz 05, who are managed by one of my favorite managers in all of the world, certainly in the Bundesliga. Werder Bremen, 1/4 goal favorites at home right now, which is a little bit of a surprise and certainly makes me lean the other direction to FC Köln and Urs Fischer. Total in this one is 2.75, and it is used very heavily to the under, which is probably where it should be. But I think for me, I mean, I still believe Urs Fischer is a defensive manager. He's gotten a lot of goals out of his team. His total is a little bit bigger than I made it. So I lean to the road underdog and under, which is usually exactly what I want. 2 more matches left on Sunday. We'll start with Sports Club Freiburg. They are hosting Union Berlin. Currently, Union 1/4 goal underdogs away from home. All the juices on Freiburg coming off of Europa League midweek, and they've not been great in Bundesliga either this season. So that's, to me, a great spot to potentially exploit that. Lean to the road underdog and the under because Union Berlin are going to play a very physical game. Last but not least, VfB Stuttgart. They are a pick'em at home to RB Leipzig, which certainly reflects them playing Europa League midweek. Total this was 3.5. It's just more to the over, and that definitely reflects 2 great offenses. I don't know that I believe there's going to be a ton of goals in this matchup because I think it will probably reflect what type of lineup Stuttgart puts out there, but definitely interested in Stuttgart as a pick'em at home, and we'll see if it ends up staying there. A lot of juice at the moment, and we'll see what the lineup ends up looking like. And that does it for the German Bundesliga. For my best bet in that league, let's go with Mainz 05. Let's go under 2.75 goals. I can never believe those Fischer matches to have a lot of goals in them, and though they have so far since he's returned. And that does it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Before we sign off, of course, I want to plug the Need for Speed's College Basketball Podcast. It's going to be on almost every night the rest of this month of March. Beautiful month that it is. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed and stayed safe on Friday the 13th. Hopefully you made it. Hopefully you're not in the Strait of Hormuz at this point. Other episodes, soccer stuff coming out midweek, of course. The What I Bet show on the pregame.com podcast network as well, if you're looking for more up to the minute college basketball stuff. But we should be doing a lot of that, honestly, on the Need for Speed College Basketball on this channel. You can find us Betting the Pitch Apple Podcast on Spotify. You can also find us on YouTube at the Real_G Warner, and on Instagram if you want the reels and the shorts, YouTube and Instagram respectively at the Real_G Warner, both those platforms. Let's go through the ultimate best bets and select ones from the English Premier League, like Leeds under 2.25 goals on the road at Crystal Palace. In La Liga in Spain, like Espanyol under 2.25 on the road at Mallorca. In Serie A in Italy, I like Verona and Genoa under 2 goals. In Ligue 1 in France, finally aside, let's go Stade de Brest or Stade Brestois, a 1-goal underdog. And in the German Bundesliga, let's go Mainz 05 on the road to Bremen under 2.75 goals. But for the ultimate best bet in this episode, let's go Leeds visiting Crystal Palace under 2.25 goals. Just one newly promoted side, one that kind of looks like a promoted one because of how much talent they've sold. That'll do it for this episode of Betting the Pitch. Now let's get back to the college basketball conference championships.
Recording stopped.